most out of those potential teams in that wild card. But as we kind of take a look at the ban pick, I am curious to see if sub-base will be picked early on, because I feel like both of these teams have a really strong sub-base. But then I just think back to that All Gamers matchup. If you can beat All Gamers on sub-base, surely 7, they should be able to beat Kungara. I know you've talked up their sub-base, but I mean, they did take down All Gamers on it.
But I mean, the best map from LCK is sub-base by far. And for some reason, okay, Kungara is banning sub-base today. I thought actually they would ban Eagle Eye, because I feel like Kungara, even though it's the best map from LCK, sub-base, they should still play this one, because again, Loon's very good at making counter strats, and I think 8 down is one of the weak points for LCK. So I mean, I also played against LCK many times this year, and I think it's possible to counter them anyway. Most likely we're gonna see an Eagle Eye pick then from LCK, and let's see how this one goes.
Well, yeah, port gone as well, so sub-base port out of the picture. Kind of leading us towards those more open maps. Blackwater, Ankara still alive. Mexico seems the obvious choice for Kungara. Has been their go-to the entire tournament. They've looked pretty good on that generally. I mean, I guess what, 50% win rate once they beat Imperial, once they lost to All Gamers, but All Gamers also quite solid on Mexico, so happy with that one, I think, for Kungara.
Yeah, I think the big downside here is that you don't have that GR side first, and I feel like it's going to be hard for them to have that same BL start they had in their previous matchup, which worked so well for them against Imperial. I feel like LCK has a really good GR side on this map, and we are going to see another Mexico Eagle Eye, so you know what? These lower picks are starting to come out more and more in these later stages of the tournament, but I think for both of these teams, it actually makes a lot of sense. Though I would say for LCK, it is a bit of a risk, knowing they had a really hard time on this map against All Gamers, and if Kungara paid close attention to that match, they might have a lot to offer, even knowing that's LCK's pick.
Yeah, I agree. And also, Kai's used to play Eagle Eye a lot of my team, and he's very strong on this one, sniping always on A side, sometimes even in this Hotel B area. And like you said, Kyle, LCK didn't look too strong against All Gamers on Eagle Eye, but to be fair, it's also All Gamers, right? So
yeah, now it's going to come down to that final map. I'm actually kind of thinking we're going to see Compound for some reason. I don't know why, but I feel like Kungara might be trying to lean into it, but LCK is the team to ban it, so you're going to have an interesting final on Black Widow being left for that final map in this pool. It is going to be a tough road, I think, either way to get there, but I don't know, for some reason when I see the map pool, I'm still pretty confident in LCK, just knowing they have that GR side first on Mexico. But it's also kind of a weird situation, because I actually think both of each other's map picks favor the opposite team here.
Well, I think there's a high potential that this would go into full distance today. Because Mexico should be the map for Kungara. I mean, LCK is not that strong on Mexico. They're usually not strong on smaller maps. And LCK is one of the best West teams on Eagle Eye, so this should be their map. I'm actually surprised Kungara doesn't go for sub-base. I think they might have bigger chances to beat them on sub-base than on Eagle Eye.
Yeah, I would have liked to see it as well, because I feel like these are two really, really strong teams on sub-base, and that one could have gone either way, but maybe they just wanted to take it off the table, knowing it's the only map LCK's been able to win this far, and maybe that gives them that extra confidence going into a sub-base to do it again, knowing they beat All Gamers on it earlier, even though it could be a pretty even matchup here. So it's not necessarily a bad pick, I think, on their end, and they also get that Mexico pick first, which is their only win as well, so their only win is in the pool, which is a nice little advantage to have to start off this series. It's just going to come down to, I think, can they replicate that success they had on the Blacklist side in this first map?
It's a few perplexed sounding conversations then, as far as the video is concerned. But hopefully the teams have got things figured out in line with expectations, maybe. Serious business on the LCK side of the stage. It looks like they're all very focused. Just waiting for the game to kick off, and well, I think for Famous, big day ahead, hopefully.
Yeah, he was kind of quiet in their second match. I was actually surprised he wasn't more competitive shot for shot in that second one. They definitely need him to have a big performance today. Do you guys think we're going to see another 90% headshot day out of this guy?
I think that would be hard to replicate, wouldn't it? Like, not that he can't do it, but I think it's very difficult to say, oh yeah, he definitely is going to go ahead and have a similar kind of a performance. So I do hope and expect that he's going to do better than he did in the second series, but I don't know that we're going to necessarily see the exact same as what we got in that first series, because that was something that felt like, you know, you're going to get that once in a blue moon.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things I'm hoping for from Kungara in this that we haven't really seen them do a lot yet, but it worked well historically for them, is running 2 or 3 OMs, especially when you look at a player like Michael DRK. I think he can really be effective on the OM, but he's been kind of reluctant to use one so far, and his fragging potential I think could be much higher on this team if they go back to those 2 or 3 sniper setups that they used to run as a team.
Yeah, I totally agree, especially Eagle Eye is made for double sniper setups. So I'd love to see Michael DRK sniping maybe towards B side and Kai's on A side. Yeah, when it comes to Mexico, I think one of the key factors is definitely the duel between Dane and Kais, and I feel like Kais is overall the better M4 player because, I mean, if you approach the Blacklist, you usually have 5 rifles. It doesn't make too much sense to have a sniper rifle if you want to go for executes. And I think Kais is the better rifle player, which also could play a big factor on this first map at least.
Yeah, I think so as well. Kai's definitely, I would say, is a stronger player than Dane. My only worry is when you look at the entirety of these teams comparably, the rifles overall, I think, are slightly better on LCK's side because you do have Dezane, you do have Lion Claw, you do have Flex. These guys are a little bit more versatile in what they can do. I would also be curious to see if we're going to see a little bit more shotgun play when these 2 Western teams meet, because both of them have shown in the past it's something they like to do for that alley control or maybe even a quick little mid play with it. I know Flex brought it out a lot during West League, but he hasn't really used it too much here, but I would love to see that more in the mix. But on the GR side, I feel like at least it's a little bit of comfort for LCK to work with, even though it's not their map pick. I think they just need to be ready for that Kungara fast pace here on the side of the map. They're not going to wait behind those smokes like most other teams would in these start of round situations, and they're also going to go for a water push a lot more than most other teams would.
Yeah, that's something that I wanted to talk about, obviously, because Kungara is going to be starting off on the Blacklist side here of Mexico, right? And if we go back to the match that they played against Imperial, they were out the gates really fast in a lot of those rounds, and I sort of expect that that's going to be something that they'll throw in here again. Hopefully LCK has been able to take a sort of a leaf out of All Gamers book and prepare themselves for that, because it does seem like, you know, if you're going to play Mexico and you're going to start on the Blacklist side, you kind of want to just get on top of your opponent pretty early before they really get settled on that GR side.
Yeah, I agree. I hope they continue that same pacing, but it can change your mentality a little bit when you play against all gamers and they just kind of shut you down on the aggression over and over again. But they kind of have to just look at this as a new match and know that LCK isn't quite as strong on this map, and they are going to have some advantages if they're not afraid to play equally aggressive like they did in that first match. So we'll see how exactly they decide to play it, but I am expecting a very fast-paced first round from this team.
Right, I agree. I mean, the big question always on this map is if the GR team is playing with mid aggressive or like without mid. And usually when a team is playing aggressive with mid, what also LCK is usually doing, it might be useful to use the tunnel to go for entry frags or even execute there, because usually there's only one player, which might be Dane, to cover this area. So basically it's like if you've executed like 4 to 5 players, it's like a 5 versus 1. If you get this frag, B side is usually empty. And yeah, I mean, like LCK compared to Imperial, I think they might have better setups on GR side. I think Imperial was playing kind of wild on GR, playing aggressive sometimes, but with not a good plan, I felt like. So today I think Kungara might play a little bit more reserved, more passive on Blacklist, because LCK, like I said, usually have good setups. And it doesn't make too much sense to push towards smoke in mid, because if a team knows how to play GR, it's unlikely to take mid control, and usually you lose those trades there.
Well, plenty of time to chat about it, there's no doubt about that. Kungara, I can see for pretty much this entire time that we've been talking, have also sort of been talking. Even now you can sort of see that. LCK seem like maybe they haven't been conversing quite as much, but no doubt Kungara going into this map of Mexico is going to be pretty well aware of what they want to be doing. And it looks like it's time to get things underway. So let's kick off Mexico. It is LCK and Kungara. And the pool, Mexico, Eagle Eye, and then Black Widow if required. It does feel as though this is a series where we could well go to the third map.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see in these stats as well. I know we have the 2022 pick rates, but I feel like 2023 Mexico is going to be going up a little bit. It's been appearing in a lot of these series in the group stage here, and Like teams are more and more comfortable on it, but we are ready to go here. Map number 1 and potentially the closest series in the group stage. We'll see if it plays out that way, but Mexico is going to be our starting point for this one.
Well, are we going to get a faster paced round to kick things off from Kungara? That is the first thing that we're going to be looking for here. The round has kicked off, so let's see how they're going to set themselves up. Already 4 players from LCK straight into mid. Lots of util getting dumped down. Obviously the expected smoke, but a couple of nades as well, and probably a good thing that Mexico has slowed down a little bit here for Kungara, because they would have run into a big nade stack had it been the other case.
I think it's the first time we see Famous using M4 rifle. Usually he's just sticking to the AK. It's an interesting decision in this first round.
Yeah, they're running 4 of them, which is not super common on the side of Kungara, but we'll see if it pays off on the other side. LCK running 2 M4s. No OMs for either team. Not really a big surprise here on Mexico. You can see Kai's lurking up towards this bomb site. He's got Michael alongside him as well. Dane, really the only player holding on to the back of the A bomb site, just throwing some utility from this forklift position, but Kungara playing a lot safer than I expected.
Pretty default setup really from Kungara. I mean, seen this before from them. Michael particularly just jiggle peeking the alley. He had a lot to say in that meanwhile, so they must have been setting something up, and I guess it was this. Holy moly, that's a lot of util getting tossed in from Kungara, and Mertz able to find himself the opening kill alongside Kai's. It is already a blistering pace being set by Kungara. Once they push the go button, well, they went, and they're into the A side, and there's not much that Real's going to be able to do about it. A 4-on-1. I don't see him having much of a chance of pulling this off.
Yeah, it doesn't seem too likely here. Real going to be working his way around. I believe we already see a pause being called by LCK as well after that opening round. It's going to be a pretty clean sweep, going the way of Kungara, only losing that 1 player on the mid control push. Now LCK, they have to rethink it, but I almost feel like against Kungara, I wouldn't want to be going for mid control at all. I feel like them playing a little bit back here could be beneficial, just knowing Kungara does like to go for these late utility plays to take mid control, and they might have a chance to play back a little bit safer. But already a timeout at 1-0 in favor of Kungara. LCK trying to kind of address, I think, their strategy on this side of the map, because you have to quickly if you want to shut down this aggression from Kungara.
Yeah, I don't know about it. I mean, look, I will say now, I think I'm not a huge fan of this timeout, actually, as a choice. I think if you wanted to have a bit of a chat, you could have just said to Real there, like, go stand on the B site for a minute or a minute and a half, and we could have had a conversation without actually using our timeout. But instead, they used their timeout after round 1?
Yeah, it's rare to see. I mean, we just saw some great smoke lineups as well as some great flashes. And you can tell that Luns is the coach for Kungara. I think without him, they might not have this kind of stuff. Because this reminds me of Lazarus here, this mid-take. Fishy Mercs here. Typical Niels play. Jumping over this box.
Yeah, really solid execution overall onto mid. Mercs as well, honestly, has impressed me for someone who's coming in as a first-time CFS player. I thought he was going to be a little bit weaker presence on this team, but already putting up a good start here for Kungara. Now LCK, they still have a chance to respond and quickly bounce back into this one, but I am curious to see what is going to change for them coming out of this pause timer, because if you are going to do it in round number 2 here, you've got to have something pretty valuable to answer back with. But honestly, they haven't changed too much in their GR setup coming out of this pause, so I'm not sure what they figured out during that, but you can see the difference here from Kungara going for that presence out of the water. It's going to be 3 players shifting into Dane, who has to back off to Zane. They're supporting it, but it's only just a little bit of a fake here.
Yeah, Kungara happy with that little bit of map control. It is going to be retaken by LCK, but it'll cost them a bit of util smoke in there, which I guess is 1 less that can go into mid. Might be the thinking for Kungara. Flex is even going to try to push a little in mid there. Needs to be careful doing that. There's a bunch of Kungara members on the other side of it.
Yeah, a little bit risky here, but LCK still deciding to hold on to this mid control. Not a huge fan of this setup, considering how Kungara likes to take control of mid. I don't think it's going to work out too well for them. They usually isolate this ramp player and then flash out wide onto Flex's position. So it's going to make it pretty difficult to support each other when this push does come through. You can see Flex here playing to avoid the flash, but now Dezane is forced to peek through the smoke, gets the kill, Lion Claw with the follow-up, and now they shut it down pretty well. Lion Claw, though, has to hang on to this position, spots the first player. Both of them are low, but it doesn't matter. Famous and Brando find a kill apiece to keep them alive in this one.
Maybe not quite clean enough from LCK. It looked like it was going to be a good hold, but just towards the back end of things, Kungara have been able to bring it back to a 2-on-2. And sure, Famous is low, Brando also about half HP, but Famous is the kind of guy that's going to be able to make this one happen anyway. Hunting for that kill onto Real actually opens up the door for Brando to get it in the end. And now Dane isolated into the 1-on-2. He's going to go quickly through the smoke. Kungara are ready for it, and the double swing is good. Great patience on the plant. Kungara were ready, and they have a 2-0 scoreline to kick things off on Blacklist.
Yeah, Lankler and Real whiffing some shots here. I felt like Lankler had the perfect position here in shadows. Especially considering Famous was quite low HP, right? Like, it should have been easy kill for him, and also Flex actually doing a great job here, playing anti-flash position. They had a perfect setup to counter this mid-execute, but for some reason trade still went in favor of Kungara.
Yeah, a bit of a tough time on it for Lion Claw. I agree, he had the positioning and the HP advantage in that fight. He just couldn't connect on the shots, and Kungara, they are getting the benefits here so far. In map number 1, Brando as well, up to a 4-0 score. Really key in bringing that last round back. I think he had 3 in that second round play, so it's going to be up to LCK to show they can shut this down. You do see Dane going back to the AK instead of the I think that's a smart call here, considering he didn't really find any value of it in the previous round, especially if you get stuck on a retake position with that in hand on Mexico. It's almost impossible to retake with that so it is going to be a good change-up, but still Kungara taking their time here, going for a little bit slower start of rounds, late executions here, but it seems to be working quite well.
That's exactly as you said, Severin, right? They're going to take it a bit slower today.
Right, yeah, I mean, LCK is known for the good setups, so Kungara should wait until all the smokes in mid are fading. Otherwise, it doesn't make too much sense to go for this mid-execute. But now we also see a passive setup here from LCK, playing without mid this time. I think it's a smart decision, because the trades in the first 2 rounds in mid went in favor of Kungara.
Well, that's a lot of flashes getting tossed out by Kungara. And another opening frag, this time from Famous. It'll be a tough day for LCK if they continue to lose these rounds, but we are lining up potentially for another third one here for Kungara. Look at the space that they're getting. Famous has already walked all the way into the A side, and they just need to get that kill onto the player at Forklift, and the site will be cracked open. A 1-for-1 from Dezane is not going to be enough to make this right for LCK, and they're losing frags elsewhere as well. The job is getting even tougher, and LCK at the moment are kind of getting wiped.
Yeah, definitely a tough position to be in for LCK so far on this map. Real, pretty much no chance to get into this bomb site. Michael will be the one to finish the job, and already they've got themselves a 3-0 lead, but nothing super surprising, I would say, so far. Mexico, very, very strong for Kungara. LCK just having some struggles getting these picks to go their way. I feel like they almost need to play a little bit more aggressively in certain pockets, because Kungara is doing a really good job of isolating players in untradeable positions in LCK. I think they realize that, and that's why they're probably playing a little bit more assertive this round.
Yeah, it looks scary for LCK. I mean, starting off 0-3 on the most GR-sided Crossfire map, and you also have no tactical pause anymore. These are some bad news for LCK.
Tough spot to be in. Kungara going to throw a change up into the mix and try to go in through the tunnel. So Real will be tested. Doesn't really have anyone to play Crossfire with, though. Can get a fast rotator across through from the doors of the A site, which will be Dezane. Still not a favorable trade thus far for LCK. They're taking more damage than they're giving and losing more players than they're fragging. So 2 for 1, but also Dezane down to a quarter of his HP. It does not look good for LCK in round 4. We're getting the same kind of vibe from Kungara here on Mexico as we did the first time they played it against Imperial.
Yeah, I mean, right now, they're going for these plays aggressively, but they're just not hitting the shots. Surprisingly, Brando getting a lot of these entries for his team, but Dezane, he's going to drop the bomb in alley. That's actually a huge advantage now for LCK if they're able to play around that. I'm not sure if Dezane called that out or noticed it quickly enough, but even then, they've got to make a play into the alleyway now for Kungara with only 50 seconds on the clock, or just go in and pretend like they do have the bomb, which seems to be their strategy here. They're not really going for it just yet. You can see maybe Mercs is going to fall off and try and scoop it up, but this bomb pickup could force them to take some more individualized plays. If you see Michael here in the water position, he might have to face Lion Claw alone. Only 30 seconds on the clock. LCK, they've got the positions to lock this down, and the time is ticking.
It's going to be a mid to B. Flash over the top as well, allowing Michael to kind of continue to lock down those rotations. It's really all onto Lion Claw here. He needs a 2K, and he'll get it. That'll be enough to win the round. There's nothing that Michael can do now. Time will tick away from him. And even if he were to be able to retrieve that C4, he just would not be able to plant it. Well done from Lion Claw. The trade not good enough from Kungara this time, but you've also got to give some credit to Dezane for dropping the C4 in alley. That felt like it was the round-winning kill. Down 4 on 3. Knew he had to make a play. And finally, LCK are on the board.
Yeah, I feel like Dezane really good at converting these rounds into winnable positions, but I mean, Lion Claw as well. I actually thought he was going to get caught off guard there on that B-bomb side position. He was a little bit late to it, but he still hits the double kill as well. Flex, the only player not on the board for his team yet in this one. If he can really step up as well, this could become a much better game, I think, for LCK. But look at this from Mercs. Just goes in, guns blazing in the mid, finds himself a double kill. Brando takes down a third, and Dane, he's already all alone. Doesn't matter. It's a 20-second round over to Kungara to answer back.
Good shout. I think that's a really good call, actually, as well from Kungara. Just as LCK struggle their way through one round, instantly you put them back in their place.
Yeah, Flex having a hard time here in this mid area. But also great players from Kungara. It felt like LCK was blind for years here in mid. They couldn't see anything. Also Mercs, good 2-piece, good entry frags from this guy.
It was crazy that stat there. Famous had like 117 ADR, like almost double the rest of his team, but he's only got 3 kills.
You can see a quick firefight from Flex here in the alleyway, but again, struggling to connect. It's going to be Kungara who finds 2 on this, make it a 3rd kill from Famous in mid. Already a 5-on-2 situation, and they just can't hang on to it here. Real has to find something, able to find 1 on the cross. Dane can't get the follow-up kill. It's a 2-on-4. The B-bomb side is completely exposed here. Michael able to find Dane already on the double doors, and what more can you do here if you're Real in this situation? 1 versus 4, things just not going right for LCK.
Like, what can you even do? What can you even say, right? That is just LCK losing aim duels, right? They're trying to push in, they're trying to take aim duels, and they're still losing them. So, nothing really working out for them. Look at this post-plant setup. Oh, what is this post-plant setup from Kungara? They've really kind of given Real Snowball's chance in hell, to be fair, but he might actually still be able to pull this one off. Time's ticking away. Oh, he gets the headshot on the Kais as well, but Brando will lock it down, and Real's not happy with that. To be fair, he never even should have got that close. I'm not sure what that was from Kungara. They really must have thought he was on the A side.
Yeah, it seems to be the case here, but you know what? Even then, they get the round, and they can't be mad about the scoreline. That's for sure 5-1 on the BL side of Mexico as well. I thought Kungara would have maybe a slight edge in this map, but definitely not to this extent.
Well, now it's about making sure that you actually close this map out cleanly to go into the second with some momentum. Don't want to allow LCK to get back up, keep them getting ground into the dust. Oh, Michael going to struggle there with 2 players spamming through the smoke.
Yeah, you can see finally those aggressive plays working out for LCK on the entry. Now the rest of Kungara works their way into mid control, and this is where Flex has had a lot of trouble holding on for his team. 0-6 so far, and a lot of those deaths are just not being able to hang on to this position in the backside of mid. I almost wish they'd go to maybe a double ramp setup on the A-bomb site, give him a little bit more room to trade with. Here comes the peak. Flex will be spotted out. Dezane actually swings into action to get that kill. He knew there could be a struggle in mid, and he ensures LCK wins the fight.
Round's not over yet. See what Famous and Kais can do. No, it seems unlikely, but you've still got Famous. You've still got Famous. And he's not getting as many kills today as he was in the previous, but he's still putting up the numbers in terms of ADR. So at some point, the kills surely have to follow. And maybe this round is an example of that. Kais as well, waiting patiently. Lionclaw maybe oversteps. He's going to open himself up to getting picked as well. But now I'm starting to get a little suspicious as to whether Kais is going to get anything done here. Yeah, he's going to get executed in the back, and Famous will go down as well. So crisis averted for LCK.
Yeah, not too bad at all there, and it is going to be up to Kungara to try and hold onto this lead now. Even if they don't, 5 is usually still enough on the BL side if for some reason LCK takes these final 2. But it is going to be an interesting change here coming out from Kungara. It is going to be Mercs quickly going for this push into water, seeing if there's going to be aggression on the other side of it. But LCK, they're kind of just running that same setup over and over again in mid, but I do like the change up from Dezane, kind of trying to make sure he's that first player to play point of contact. I think he's a lot more successful in being that main point of contact because Flex here just seems overwhelmed a lot of the time. It's a 1-for-1 though on that push into water. Mercs and Real going down in the firefight, but again, Kungara back off.
I'm still surprised that Famous is sticking to the Emperor because usually he always plays AK. As you remember, in the first match against Imperial, he got like 21 kills. And I also think he has more impact usually with the M4. I mean with the AK.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean they're leading 5-2, so usually if you win Blacklist in Mexico, it should be your map.
Well, Kais over the top actually gets fragged out there. Flex, he'll get his first kill for the map, which is a good sign for LCK. At least he's on the board. This time a full set execute from Kungara doesn't quite work out. Maybe the flashes didn't land. Either way, LCK clawing their way back. Michael having been spotted out now. Should be a pretty easy one to clean up. 3 there for LCK. Still nothing to get excited about necessarily, but it is better than what it could have been because this really was looking like it might actually end up being something like a 7-2 or an 8-1 half.
Yeah, it almost feels like LCK had a bit of a slow start here. Now they're starting to hit the shots, though, starting to keep it competitive in the rounds, and it's paying off here. They do have a big difference as well. 5 AKs now on LCK, and only 1 on the side of Kungara. I think that could be part of the change-up here that is actually helping them out in these fights, considering the M4's only real big benefit is that box damage increase. But Flex here getting tested on the B bomb site. It's going to be Lionclaw who swings for the triple kill, takes them all down. Real swings in for the bomb carrier. And now again, Michael on the flank, left alone. And what could have been a huge half for Kungara, they let it 5-1. It dwindles down to a 5-4 half.
That's got to actually be a little bit disappointing for Kungara, at least not quite convert maybe a 6-3 to really keep that pressure on. Look, I know 5's still going to be good on the Blacklist side of Mexico, but it felt like it could be a lot more there for Kungara, and I think they've definitely taken their foot off the gas a bit.
This round, though, from LCK, no hesitation on their opening Blacklist round, but Mercs and Brando shut that down very, very quickly. Famous as well, through the smoke. The AK's back in his hands, and that could be the big difference in this second half.
Seems like it. It's the magic AK, really, isn't it?
Famous is known to play this off angle here in this A connector area. Also what stands out to me, like Brando is always this guy on this roster stepping up to the plate on Mexico.
Yep.
Also Famous told me that Brando is one of the best players in an A on Mexico. So usually, Brando also stepped up to the plate against Imperial, right? He got like 17 kills, I think.
Well, that is good. There's no doubt about that, but I do wonder, and I think we're probably like leaning on Kungara to probably close this map out, especially with the way that this second half is starting off. But I just wonder if they're going to be able to do this on another map, right? Because the only map we've actually seen them play well in at this event so far actually has been Mexico. So kind of, you know, it makes me feel good to see them performing well here again, but I'm not necessarily going to go ahead and say that I think they're going to 100% win the series off the basis of this. Obviously, I predicted for Kungara. I think that they have the ability, but until they show us that on another map, then it's still kind of like theoretical. So what are we going to get from Eagle Eye and Black Widow if we get there? That's got to be in the back of the minds of Kungara here. It's all well and good to win your own map and do it cleanly, but still another potential 2 maps to play.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part of this series. Isn't necessarily this first map for Kungara. It's the 2 on the way. But momentum, I think, will play a big factor. I feel like if Kungara are going to win this series, it kind of has to be a 2-0. Otherwise, they might lose that steam earlier on. Mercs getting that kill. Look at this from Famous. Just disgusting. Brutal. Gets himself a double kill before going down. Doesn't matter. Mercs is there, and they continue the hot streak on the GR.
How fast these rounds have been. It's gone from like sort of semi-competitive for LCK at the half to now like it feels like less than 2 minutes later it's 8-4 again. You know, you're like, well, what just happened to the first half of our second half?
Yeah, I feel like it's just a tough side of the map for them. I feel like LCK, every time I've seen them on BL Mexico, it hasn't really been strong at all for them. So it's not going to surprise me if Kungara just takes this one 10-4 at this point. Been playing very well, and with Famous back on the AK, it gives them even more firepower to work with. Between him and Brando, they're getting so many entries in these rounds, it makes it almost impossible to get past the 2 of them holding on to mid.
Yeah, especially Flex having a hard time, only 1 kill on the board yet. And I also feel like as an IGL, it's tough to call, you know, when you know like you're not hitting your shots, because Flex is known as one of the best fraggers in terms of like the IGLs in West. So this also could play a big factor here. I think it's more difficult to convince your teammates from a strategy if you don't hit your shots. You know, it's much more difficult. I feel like.
Yeah, players are funny sometimes with the respect that they'll give to the individual skill in the server.
Right. Yeah. It shouldn't be like that actually, but
that it is. Almost unanimously. It doesn't matter what game.
Yeah.
If you can shoot them in the head good, then you must be good. Which, I mean, generally does translate.
Kungara playing pretty safe in this one, but LCK, they're trying to run down the clock. They are not confident in this mid control anymore, and I don't really blame them here. I mean, they've lost 3 in a row trying to push through mid, and you can see Kungara here just kind of backing off, knowing they don't have a lot of time to work with, playing a little bit passive on this setup, but they know LCK now has to dump a lot of utility just to take mid control, and now they're just going to peek right back into it. Kungara giving them an opportunity here to answer, and Brando, he is going to find the bomb carrier, but still, they only have 25 seconds to grab the bomb, and it's down on the other side of the map here. They've got to go through mid, grab it, and almost force their way through to a site in a matter of moments. 15 seconds to plant. They still haven't even moved towards this A bomb site. They have no other chance here. Dezane, though, gets the opener, but Famous, all he has to do is stall the plant. He downs the bomb carrier. There's no time here. They have to frag out instantly to win this round. It is going to be a quick kill. The C4, is it going to get down in time? Yes, it does. A half second on the clock. They get the C4 down. Kai's left in a 1-on-2, but Flex, I thought there was surely no way they get that.
Yeah, it really did seem like it was just down to the last millisecond. Anyway, Kai's is going to have to give it a crack here. 1-on-2. He seems to have a bit of an info that Dane is around through the double doors. Might have spotted him there, but Flex on the site will catch him off, and LCK survived through another one, but by the skin of their teeth. Way too close for comfort.
Yeah, very, very big risk there, but it pays off. It does get them their first round on the BL side, but with how scrappy that was, I can't imagine 5 more going their way. Kungara, they are on 8. This is where sometimes teams will kind of lose that momentum. The pressure starts to get to them, and then they have trouble closing out the map. But they aren't going to be playing too nervous here in mid, still playing 3 forward. Famous still wants to take this off-angle challenge onto the mid prep, but he's going to move back just a little bit here. Playing a little bit safer for now, but LCK, they've got to be careful on the clock this time around.
Yeah, it's usually a patience game here towards this mid area. You just have to wait until the GR team wasted all their smoke utility. Then you can commit towards this mid area.
LCK just kind of setting up, waiting to see what they're going to do. Kungara not really peeking into this too much. Famous occasionally going for one onto that ramp position, but it's really a lot of pressure onto LCK to make this first move, and they're going to have to make it count every single round here. There's no room for error if they want to take back this map, and you can see they're going for a pretty heavy grouping in this alleyway towards the A bomb site. It looks like we're going to see another A execution, this time likely a little bit faster.
I don't know if this is going to work. Like, almost everyone of Kungana is already pretty much on the A site or in a position to fast rotate. You're essentially going into 5 players. It's going to be tough. You're going to have to frag out here. LCK, first couple of kills will have to go their way, and they do. And that's critical, actually, because it does give them a bit of a chance in here now. That is much cleaner than it ought to have been. Kungana almost had the perfect setup, but LCK, 3 entries. I guess it do be like that sometimes.
Mercs goes down as well. Another good round on the A bomb side for LCK, and if they can take it against 4 people on the hold,
yeah,
it definitely speaks well to their opportunity now to get back into this game if they can keep hitting these kind of shots. But you've got to wonder when Kungara is going to change that pace. I feel like if maybe they play a passive round or 2 and just give up that mid control, they might have a little bit better success here. You can see the early nade stack coming into the mid, but nothing really on the other side of it. LCK, they're playing very, very slow start of rounds, and Kungara, they're going to have to show they can hold on to it this time.
That's a typical Chinese setup here towards this alleyway. It's very useful. Like, I think if they would play this one last round, they would definitely would have won this one.
Yeah, I really like the setup. The 2 players on the back of alleyway just kind of waiting to catch them off guard if they're going to try and shift towards that A bomb site. But LCK, this could be a really good read here. They're sending a lot of players towards water. Kais is holding on to the angle, but he only has 1 quick support from Brando, just going back and forth between that quad position and support on Kais. But Kais, it's all about hitting this first shot. Is he going to hit it? No, he's not. He has to back off. Spots 2 players on the cross. But LCK, again, not going to full commit yet. Still running down the clock.
The time could play a big factor now here in this round, because LCK still don't have mid control.
Michael unable to land the shots in the flex, and Famous is probably not going to be happy with that. That should be traded every day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough battle to lose. If you're Michael, you can't afford to let these slip, especially knowing this could be the difference now between winning and losing. A very, very crucial round for LCK, who don't have to worry about Famous and can re-execute a little bit more safely onto this A bomb site, where they've been really solid when it comes to entry fragging here into this A bomb site. They do still have to worry about Mercs on this site, but if I'm choosing a site against this team, Michael and Mercs is probably the best bet to push into if I'm LCK in this situation. And they already take down Mercs. Michael's stuck on the back of site. It's going to be Kais who finds 1 through the doors. Michael gets 1 before going down as well. The bomb is in the double doors position. Kai's can hold on to it. He's able to find 1, but Dane... Oh no, he doesn't even get away either. Dane now left alone. Kai's doing exactly what he needed to here. The nade could potentially help finish the job as well. Doesn't quite connect, but Dane, he's not going to hit the shots here. Kai's beautiful performance to take it to 9.
I love it. Fantastic stuff. Holding the doors. And then not only that, but also being able to cross into the site to kind of allow the space on the retake. Really, really good stuff individually from Kais. And a potentially map-winning round for Kungara. 4-on-5 that LCK can't get over the line. That surely the nail in the coffin now 3 in a row required from LCK, and they've been pretty okay on this Blacklist side, but I don't know that I'm backing them to pick up 3 in a row.
Yeah, this could have been a neck breaker. That's also what I said before at Kais versus Dane is the key duel here in this matchup. Kais is usually a strong M4 player. Okay, real shouting towards famous.
I mean, like, he does like to shout, doesn't he? But when you're down 6-9 on the map, it's like, I don't know, man. I'd be sitting on the other side of that like, all right, bro, like, fine, you killed me one time, but we're going to win the map, so whatever.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see if they can close out the 5v4 this time around. Last time it didn't quite work out for them. This time they've got a different approach. 3 players working their way into water. They do have that lurk of flex towards the A-bomb side, but here comes the push onto Brando, who's able to find one, quickly traded from Lion Claw, but again, Kai's finding those kills to keep his team in the fight. You can see the rotation coming behind, but it may not matter. It's actually Michael on the flank who finds one. Kai's finds 2. Dane again left alone, but Kai's gets 3, and that's the map 10-6. Kungara take it down on Mexico.